report over the weekend says Vic Fangio is considering retirement. First reported by Jimmy Kempski of the Philly Voice. The story says the 67-year-old Fangio informed the team last week he would retire. However, the report also says team brass believes they have convinced Fangio to stay for another season, though nothing is official. By the way, Fangio also mulled retirement last offseason. Yes, Super Bowl week is upon us, but we've got some Eagles news off the top, so let's huddle up for Bird's Huddle, presented by Toyota, official automotive partner of the NFL. Barrett Brooks, I'm Michael Barkann, Brian Baldinger in a moment. Double B, what do you make of these reports on the future of Vic Fangio, and do you think he returns?
He's been doing this for a long time, but I think he loves this game just as much as I did. I never wanted to retire. I had to retire, but I think that he wants to come back. I mean, yes, you want to think about retiring, but, hey, he's got those young kids there. He loves those kids, and I expect him to come back. I do. I expect him. He likes working with them.
All right. That brings us to 3-Point Stance, presented by Toyota. And we bring in our man, Brian Baldinger, to give us context. You know there's only one place to be during the NFL offseason, and that's in Baldy's suitcase. Where are you now, Baldy? Where have you been? Where are you going? What's going on?
I did land in. I did come back from the Cayman Islands last night, Mike.
I knew it.
Just letting you know that it's 80, sunny, and the water is very clear. I am departing for San Francisco in the morning. I needed my little R&R before the madness begins tomorrow. So I'll be out there. I'll be part of doing a bunch of shows all week long, and just kind of winding things down here at the finish line, Mike.
You live a hard life. You live a hard life, Baldy, a hard life.
You know what?
I don't apologize to anybody, Barrett. I never do it. I can talk about Cover 2 all day long and coaching searches, but at the end of the day, I need my vacations, Barrett.
I don't know.
Got to have them, and you shouldn't apologize to anybody. I know you have that wanderlust. You're a world traveler, and I love it. But let's get to our 3-point stance, Baldy. And the first one, the Eagles need to do whatever it takes to prevent Vic Fangio's retirement. Baldy, how big a blow would it be if he walked away now, especially at this point in the offseason coaching cycle?
Oh, I think it would be a big blow. I mean, he has a certain style that he coaches. He coaches hard. He's got a strong voice in that locker room and on that field, and very demanding about how he wants things, but the players respond. And so there's other guys there. You have, Clint Hurt. I just saw Clint at the Senior Bowl, coaching the American team. He's more than capable. There's guys on the roster. Casper is capable, but I think Vic Fangio, who's from Pennsylvania, said this was going to be his last stop, probably doesn't feel good about the way things finished this year as a team and as an organization, and he knows he's got a good core defensively coming back. I would think Vic, after a little bit of time off and thinking about it, maybe mulling things, I expect Vic to be back.
I expect it also, man. When you look at it, I'm thinking this. Come on now, you got to come back. The Phillies, about to go down to spring training. You're going to miss it, man. So I think he's going to come back. But let me ask you this, Baldy. Christian Parker left to become the Cowboys' DC. Would it be hard for, perhaps for the Eagles to replace Vic Fangio at this point with, just like two of the guys you just mentioned? Maybe, or maybe
hard. I mean, Christian Parker is a big loss. I mean, he was a great technician. I mean, there's a reason why Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, these guys came in and played at the level they did right away. He's a great teacher, and the Cowboys are probably getting a really good young coach. But I don't know that anybody could have the command. And I think Clint Hurt is a great coach. And he's doing a great job with the defensive line, Jordan Davis' development, the whole thing. I think he's capable, but I think Vic he's guys enjoy playing for Vic. They really do.
Second stance, Baldy. The Eagles' offense will look different next season. Sean Mannion's the new offensive coordinator. Josh Grizzard is the new passing game coordinator. What does the offense look like with these new coaches, Baldy?
It's a good question. It's a good question, Mike. Honestly, I mean, the resumes are pretty thin. All right. And so you start with that. Okay, what's their tree? Where do they come from? Sean Mannion coached quarterbacks 1 year in Green Bay. Josh Grizzard kind of came in on the heels of Liam Cohen and the great year he did with Baker Mayfield in 2024, and things didn't look the same this year. Every coach whether they're doing it by committee or whether it's going to be Sean Mannion's defense, should cater to the talent that they have. I expect the Eagles to address the offensive line in the draft and in free agency. And I expect them to beef it up. But they've got to figure out what is best for Jalen Hurts. I think that's where it starts. Is this going to be a passing team? What kind of passing offense is it going to be? Everybody is looking to explore that wherever they go, whatever offense they're trying to install. What does the quarterback do best? What does he like to do? He won a Super Bowl averaging 21 passes a game and being a great running team, and he was great at managing the game and making big throws in big games in big spots. And they won a Super Bowl doing that. Can they run that back in a similar manner? I don't know that, anybody's going to run for 2,000 yards like Saquon did again. So I feel like that's where it starts. How are they going to put Jalen in the best spot possible right now? I think they got to build the offense from the ground up.
And Barrett, how much, if you're Sean Mannion, do you need to sell Jalen Hurts on this offense, on his approach, on his process? And if you're Jalen, are you getting a piece of that and saying, look, you might be the OC, but I've been here for a while, you know what I'm saying? And I got a different guy every single year, so here's what I want to do. How does that work out, Barrett?
Well, I mean, that's definitely going to be something that should be first and foremost. In fact, I'm kind of surprised Jalen even went down there, considering the fact he has a new offensive coordinator. You know how he runs things, you know how he wants to be around everything. I don't know. I mean, at this point, I'm looking at the offense, Grizzard being there, Mannion being there, these new guys coming in. I'm hoping it is a new look offense. I'm hoping we do see a variety of different motions, a variety of different, personnel packages, formations, things to kind of make things, a lot different. Because 2 years ago a year ago when we won the Super Bowl, it was just smash mouth football. We just say, hey, we're just going to run you over. Well, that didn't happen this year. So we need some more variety. We need some misdirection. We need something that's a new look for this offense.
All right, third stance. There are Senior Bowl prospects who can really help the Eagles. Baldy, you were down in Mobile, Alabama last week to get a firsthand look. What players jumped out to you?
Mike, I'm still a fan of players that can rock a mullet, a really good mullet. And Jennings Dunker from Iowa caught my eye. Like last year at the Senior Bowl, Graves Abel caught my eye. But here's Jennings right here. He played guard, he played tackle. He's been coached at Iowa by a great coach. Iowa offensive linemen typically are pretty tough guys, and they transition. I mean, there was a good mullet right there.
That's a great mullet.
And he's proud of it. But I feel like he caught my eye. It just a lot of the one-on-ones that he did, the different positions he lined up at. I think he's got position flexibility, and he's got, he's just got that. I don't know. He worked on a pig farm, he's just a tough kid that's strong. I like what I saw from a Dunker there at the Super Bowl, at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, he should have gone to Arkansas if he worked on a pig farm, for goodness sakes.
Yeah,
Barrett, that's right. Barrett, how about you? Anyone jump out to you?
I love the guy also. I actually text our producer, Mike Mulhern. I'm like, look, this is my guy right here. So I let him know from the beginning. But I was kind of looking at the tight ends. I think the tight end position might be the first year we get, first year in a long time, because we had Pete from back in the day. But this first year in a long time, we draft a tight end in the first round. And I'm looking at two guys, Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon, a really good tight end. He's a guy that can stretch the field. He's a little short, only 6'3", but he's a great athlete. I really think he can come to the fold. And then also Max Clare, Ohio State tight end. He started out at Purdue, played very, very well. I mean, he looks like he could be a player for us also. So I'm looking at the tight end position very, very closely this year. That's going to be where I'm going to be looking at the Eagles to pick this time coming around.
Baldy, coming tomorrow, as you said, you'll be in the Bay Area this week covering yet another Super Bowl. How excited are you for the week ahead? And how do you see, on Monday anyway, the game playing out?
I'm excited. I'm always excited about, Super Bowl and what it's going to, what it's going to show. But I feel like Seattle, from start to finish, looked like the best team in football to me this year. They answered all the tests. Mike McDonald's a good young coach, but, Sam Darnold has been through the ringer in this league, and he's coming out. And just being around that team, Mike, it reminds me of the Eagles team last year in some ways, like very close, very united. Everybody gets along really well. Like there's a good chemistry to that team. And they feel like they want it as a team, and I think they can do it as a team. I like Seattle in this game, but you know what New England is doing, to see them really rebirth and have a renaissance from the end of the Bill Belichick era, going through some bad times and lean years, and to see them where they are right now goes to show you just how important structure in an organization is, starting at the owner with Robert Kraft. And it really begins there and then filters down. The coaching staff is excellent. This should be a good chess match amongst two really good defenses in this matchup.
Looking forward to it. 6 days hence. Brian Baldinger, thanks so much for your time. Enjoy your week. We'll look forward to seeing where you travel next. It's always exciting. Make sure to follow Brian on Instagram and on TikTok. He's a social media guy. Thanks, Brian.
Appreciate you, Baldy.
Always appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Barrett.
We drafted a lot of offensive players. We signed a lot of offensive players. We drafted a lot of defensive players that were young on rookie contracts. So there's natural transition in what we do. And I'm not making an excuse for anything, but there's a natural transition in that in terms of where you're paying your guys, which side of the ball you're paying guys who are coming up. The important thing for us is there are players that we can't lose.
Howie Roseman last month on the natural transition of this Eagles roster. They've drafted and paid a bunch of guys on offense. Now the bevy of defensive players they've selected in the past few years are coming due for new deals. Barrett, look at the resources that they have allocated for the defense in the draft since 2022. All 5 first-round picks, pair of second-rounders, 3 third-rounders on the defensive side of the ball. And the hit rate is outrageous. Offensively, they've only selected 2 guys, Cam Jurgens, who's a Pro Bowler this year, Tyler Steen on day 2. I know Jurgens didn't have the season we thought, but he's nonetheless Pro Bowler. How impressive is what they've done in the draft on defense?
It's amazing. You know, you talk about how that ratio looks. They have 9 guys, put it like this. 9 guys that were starters this year that were draft picks. That's almost, unheard of for 9 guys that drafted here at home become draft picks. That is crazy, So, it's time to start looking on the opposite side of the ball, So, I love the fact that I think there's only 3 guys that really were deemed as starters, and that would be Bond, Jackson, and Phillips, who really contributed, So I think it's great that they do that. His talent, the way he goes out and he gets these guys, the way he talks to the coaches and they communicate and bring these draft picks in, he's done a phenomenal job of getting what the coaches wanted, what Vic Fangio wanted, and they're playing up to that level now.
All right, now let's take a look at the offense. Here's what the starting O looked like last season. We note Dallas Goedert and Jahan Dotson are impending free agents. Lane Johnson could be calling it a career. We don't know. Who knows what will happen with A.J. Brown? Overall, though, Barrett, do you think this offense needs an upgrade? And how different do you think it might look next year personnel-wise?
You know what? I do think they're going to have an an upswing of offensive talent being drafted this year. You can't really rely on the defensive side of the ball because a lot of these guys are young already there. The defense and the offense is starting to get a little old. So when you look at it, you've got to find some starters at the tight end position. That guy right there. I don't know if Dallas Goedert will come back on a team-friendly deal because he had 13 touchdowns last year. He's one of the better tight ends in the league. He's going to want fair market value, and I don't think at this point the Eagles will give him fair market value. So we might be out of here. So we might be looking for some young guys at the tight end position. Then as far as offensive tackle, you just said it, Lane Johnson. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. He's at a point in his career where he could call it and say, hey, I don't want to play anymore, or he could come back. I think he has unfinished business. He wants to come back. He loves the locker room. He loves the playground, and he loves to work. He loves to go in that barn and become one of the freaks of nature in that barn. So he might come back. If that injury is the way it is and he comes out and fixes it, I think he will come back, and he wants to come back and finish what he started with another Super Bowl.
All right, here are the Eagles' projected draft picks for this year. They have their own picks in the first and second rounds, including the 23rd overall selection. Barrett, how much of this ammo will they use on offense, especially the early picks?
Well, I look at it, there's 8 draft picks there. I really think that the first 2 will have to be on the opposite side of the ball. First being a tight end or a tackle. You can switch that order up. But then after that, you slide like 2 defensive players in that, and the rest offense.
What's your priority?
My priority right now is actually tight end. That is my priority because I really don't think they're going to pay Dallas Goedert to come back. And you got to get an impact type of player there. We don't have what we need at the tight end position right now in that locker room. We just don't have it. With Goedert leaving, we need somebody there that can be, a mainstay and lock up that side of the ball as far as being an edge guy that could block, straight line blocking, and a guy that can go out and pass route situations. We need that type of guy.
Yeah, could be, aside from the quarterback, especially in today's NFL, the most important position on offense.
It's the quarterback's best friend. He's the guy that roams the middle of the field.